given the performance of you and your men recently and what you've been able to do in your time here, I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about you. You're a champion of always bringing your guys in here and introducing them and recognizing them for what they do. We've never had a situation where the time was perfect to thank you. And this is the perfect time, considering the events that has happened in this country that you just most some of them, and then recognizing how hard it is to be what you are. We ask you to protect the community. We ask you to protect each other. We ask you to protect yourself, and you also have to protect the criminal that is in charge of the problem. And it's got to be done in a split second. And I don't think any of in this room know how difficult that has to be. To put together all that information and go through what's my next action. And it's extraordinary what your guys have been able to do. You and I had a discussion when we had, during the problems that we had during spring break at the beach. We had about 1,500 people in a totally unmanageable situation. And you bring in 6 or 8 of your men to surround them. And I'm asking you, you have confidence in these guys to be able to handle themselves if someone gets in their face, if someone starts cussing them or spits on them? Are they going to have the restraint to not make the bad move? And you said, absolutely, our men are well trained, they know what to do, and you were right. But so those are situations that I wanted to make sure that I got to talk about. Steve's going to mention a list of things that have happened here of significance in this community since you've been in this position. Steve?
Well, I guess the first impression I had, Mayor and Council, when I was here the first week, I asked Chief Delmore to give me a ride around. And so I was trying to get to know him and his leadership style and what was important to him. And I said, Chief, we're a community of 11,000 people, but any summer day we'll have 30 to 50,000 people. All of us have been behind them trying to figure out which way to turn, where's the best burger, that sort of thing. And before I even got that out, he said, Steve, me and my men are ambassadors for this community. And that has always stuck with me. And he was talking about when he went to the White House and the very first thing, the recognition for our community. And he talked about community engagement. And he and I sit annually and do a performance review. And is he talking about what he's doing or the statistics of the department? No, he's talking about all the community engagement activities that you're engaged with. So I was sitting there writing these things down. And listen, now the one I'll stop, before I got here, Evanston, Illinois had started a program and we were looking at body cameras. So I was talking to him about that. Been there, done that. And I cannot tell you how many times those body cameras have ferreted out the BS that sometimes you and your officers get from really what happened. And that was important. But anyway, the ambassadors for the community, body cameras before body cameras were cool. The 6th annual National Night Out. This gives kids hands-on experience about what it is, that safety experience. Beach enforcement officer, Noel and other people, we've come up with all these different programs about the beach. Jason Dykin has said that is our resource. So you geared up, you teamed up, you have beach enforcement officers that are going out there and explaining what the situation is in the rule, not just to enforce the rules and regulations. The Police Explorers, the Gulf Shores Public Library First Responders Day, the Police Youth Academy, and the Citizens Academy. And then I'll say this with Hartley being here. I went to 3 different functions one week, and I had 3 different parents come up to me talking about the High School Public Safety Academy and just how their kids, by going to that academy, were exposed to a whole different world that are now studying to be doctors and nurses because of that program. Mayor, that's what I wanted to thank you about, because every year when I sit down and do that evaluation, he's listing all the community engagement things. So I think that's wonderful. And Chief, and you guys, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. When I mentioned that I was going to do this, the top cop for the county, our friend Hoss Mack, is here. I want to say a few words. Hoss, will you join us?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. It's good to be here. Appreciate the invitation.
Yes, sir.
To come. Robert called me, I guess Friday afternoon, and told me, and actually I had the opportunity to spend the weekend at the beach this weekend, so it was a wonderful weekend. Caught a few mullet. But when Robert called me and everything, and I shared this story with Robert, there's two things that come to mind when Ed Delmore became police chief in the city of Gulf Shores. I get a phone call one day, and he said, Sheriff, you don't know me. He said, but I just interviewed for the job at Gulf Shores. He said, I think I might become their police chief, and I'd like to come talk to you. And I said, okay. I've been in law enforcement 30 years. All but 4 of those have been in Baldwin County. Quite honestly, I've been a little leery when we've hired police chiefs from other areas of our country. And so this guy's coming to meet me and coming to talk to me and everything. And he came in and we had a conversation. And he left and he said this. He said, if I get the job, I promise you this, I'll work with you. I'll work with you and I'll support you. So first of all, Ed Delmore's a man of his word, because he's done exactly that since he's been police chief here in Gulf Shores. We have formed a great working relationship. We've worked very closely together. He's a brother, but he's also a mentor, not only to myself, but to many. And what I have found and what Ed has done is the reason, of course, Ed's one of those that's very humble, and he passes as he should, because these are the people that do the job every day. But there's no doubt in my mind that one of the reasons he got the invitation to the White House was because of the programs and everything. And perhaps somebody, not necessarily at the top, but maybe a little bit further down, knew there's another characteristic about Ed Delmore. He's going to tell you the truth. It may not be what you want to hear, but it's going to be the truth. And I had no doubt when I found out that Ed was going up, because I too have worked on and looked at the 21st century policing report. I knew that Ed was probably going to tell us what some issues were with that. And so he's a man of his word, and he stands for something. And he stands for all of us. And for that, I appreciate that very much.
This is an hour in the life of Ed Delmore, but this is the most important thing we'll do tonight. So at this point in time, Reverend Jody Krantz, who's with Gulf Shores Methodist Church, and she's a PD chaplain, has got something to share also.
I do. It's okay. Because I share in the pride of this community in this department. I'm also aware, Council, of what they really do day and night, because I get those calls at night to go with them. This is a really classy department who not only is completely professional all the time, but deeply compassionate, because when they call me, it's usually a loss. And there we are with broken people. And they're just always 100% and more. I'm so proud to serve with them. So because my role with the police department is a spiritual one, because my heart was heavy about Dallas also as we spoke. I don't know if you remember 3 years ago, you sent me to Grapevine, Texas, Dallas, to International Conference of Police Chaplains to do my advanced training. It was a chaplain for the Dallas Police Department who kept giving my husband and myself rides to the conference dinners so we wouldn't have to pay cab fares. And I've been praying for him so much this past week, because I get to share in the joys and all the professional acknowledgement you've had, but we also share in the sorrow. We really did. Because that was on my heart so heavily, we talked Friday. I felt led in our church on Sunday morning to invite our congregation and our children to write notes of affirmation, appreciation, and encouragement. My personal favorites are the ones from the children. I think you have enjoyed these. So in this envelope are approximately 160 notes of thanks and affirmation for you from the Gulf Shores United Methodist Church.
since I've been mayor, fortunate to be mayor for 8 years, and was responsible, partly responsible, along with the council, to hire you in that interview to go through that and think, how's a guy from working in the area of East St. Louis, Missouri, going to fit in down here? But after one interview, I thought, okay, this guy. Everybody in the room was a little intimidated. So not you, and I don't mean you, I mean us. But ever since I've been mayor, there've been a couple of situations where there are accomplishments within our city, not just by employees, but some members of the community, that I wanted something special that I created a commendation from me. And I have not, I've got one, and I hadn't had an opportunity to hand one out yet. So, one, got a couple of things for you. The first of which is a mayoral commendation to Chief Delmore. I'm going to read it. I don't have to put on my glasses. This is a mayoral commendation to Chief Edward Delmore for distinguished, outstanding achievement and meritorious service with grateful appreciation for your dedication and commitment to the citizens of Gulf Shores, Alabama. So I've got that for you to go on your wall. And like, I've got enough that will look good at some point in time on your uniform, and that I will be using this type of thing to hand out again to others when I have another opportunity like this. It'll be a special one at that. Before we go, I had asked Eddie Delmore if he'd like to say something. I was talking about if he knew what we were doing today, and he was, yeah, he said, do you know a little bit about my dad? And I said, I don't know much about your dad, beyond what I've seen here. He said, well, let me tell you a few things. And I thought we would end it on the right note.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I was going to use the podium, but there's a camera's facing this way. I was also hoping to hide my shaky hand. So I wrote some things down. Normally I can wing it, but this is something I definitely didn't want to do that with. I wanted to take this opportunity. I wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate my dad on all of his accomplishments. Excuse me. My dad has dedicated himself to leading organizations and their people down a successful path with integrity, drive, and compassion. A man that has spent his entire adult life protecting those who need protection and teaching others how to survive so they can go home to their families at the end of their shifts. That may sound grandiose to someone who doesn't demand the spotlight and would rather give credit to others. But I believe the fine men and women in law enforcement that have worked with him and for him over the years would agree that he is the epitome of what it means to be a great leader and a great police officer. That being said, as you can imagine, my siblings and myself have put my dad in some interesting situations. Thank you. But we are all fortunate enough to have a dad that has seen and been through just about everything. Chief Delmore, as most of you in this room call him, is obviously great at his job, but he's also a caring grandfather and a loving husband. And I'm proud to say that I have the pleasure of calling him my father and my best friend.
When I talked to Eddie and I got a little taste of that, I knew that we needed to end with him.
1, 2, 3.
Good job, Chief Delmore.